silence, completely alone, no distractions, no validation from anyone, no messages interrupting, just you, with your thoughts. Does that scare you? We live in a world where solitude is seen as punishment, as an enemy to be avoided at all costs. We've been led to believe that being alone is synonymous with failure, that if we're not surrounded by people, something must be wrong with us. But tell me something. Isn't it far more terrifying to depend on others to feel good? Because here's the truth. Most people cannot be alone without feeling empty. They need distractions, noise, constant validation to avoid facing what's really inside their minds. But the Stoics understood this centuries ago. Inner peace is not found in others. It is built from within. Today you will discover the 10 secrets that will allow you to achieve inner peace and learn to live alone without fear, without anxiety, without feeling that you need someone else to be okay. And pay close attention, because in secret number 7, you will uncover a truth so powerful that it could change your perspective on solitude forever. So stay until the end, because today you might find what you've been searching for years. Before we begin, I want you to declare your commitment by leaving a comment. My strength is born from my inner peace. That phrase will serve as a reminder that you are here to build a life where calm and balance come from within, not from external circumstances. This is the moment to reaffirm that you don't need external validation to feel whole. First Stoic secret: take control of your life. Since you were a child, you were taught to follow the rules, to fit in, to not make too much noise, to not disappoint others, to ask for permission before making a decision. And so, with every little lesson disguised as good manners or respect, they convinced you of something without you even realizing it, that your life does not entirely belong to you. Maybe you haven't noticed it, but every time you wait for someone else's validation before acting, every time you hold back from doing what you truly want out of fear of judgment, you are handing over the reins of your life. And the worst part is, you've gotten used to it. Think about all the times you wanted to change something in your life but didn't because you feared what others would say. Maybe you wanted to leave a job you hated, but you felt you couldn't because it was a good opportunity. Maybe you wanted to travel alone, but someone told you it wasn't safe. Maybe you wanted to start over, but the fear of the unknown kept you trapped in the same routine. The truth is simple and brutal. If you don't take control of your life, someone else will do it for you. And by the time you realize what has happened, it will be too late. You will have lived an existence designed by others, filled with external expectations, and you will have forgotten who you really are. The Stoics understood this perfectly. Epictetus said, "No one is free who is not master of himself," because living dependent on others is a form of invisible slavery. You don't need iron chains when mental chains do the same job. Think about it carefully. If your happiness depends on others' approval, is it really your happiness? If your purpose is defined by what others expect of you, is it really your purpose? If others direct your life, is it really your life? But it's not just about asking yourself these questions. You have to decide now whether you will continue walking the path others have drawn for you, or if you will finally take control. How do you take back the reins of your life? First, break the idea that you need permission to be who you are. You don't need anyone's validation. You don't need the world to applaud your choices. You will disappoint some people, and that's okay. Your life is not a performance to entertain others. Second, stop blaming fate. It's not society. It's not your family. It's not your past. Every decision you make, or avoid making, is yours and yours alone. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly: a man's life is what his thoughts make of it. If you keep believing that you don't have the power, then you will live as someone who doesn't. Third, act without waiting to feel ready. People become paralyzed because they think they need confidence to make decisions, when in reality, confidence is born from taking action. Decide now. Do it now. Don't overthink the fear. Don't overanalyze what could go wrong. Just do it. The Stoic mindset of absolute control. The Stoics practiced a fundamental principle: control what is within your power and let go of what is not. The problem is that most people do the opposite. They worry about what others think but neglect what they can actually change. They chase external approval but never seek to approve of themselves. They become prisoners of their own indecision. Here's the reality. No one is coming to rescue you. There won't be a perfect moment. There won't be a magical sign telling you that it's time to start living as you truly want. You have to make that decision for yourself. If you keep waiting, there will come a day when you look back and realize that you never truly lived. You only existed. You only followed orders. You only took up space in this world without ever truly conquering it. But today, you can change that. Today, you can decide. A Stoic challenge for you. From this moment on, every time you face an important decision, ask yourself, am I making this decision because I truly want it, or because I'm afraid of disappointing someone else? If the answer makes you uncomfortable, it means you are waking up, because the power over your life has always been in your hands. You just needed to claim it. Now, let's move on to the next secret. Are you ready to discover it? Second Stoic secret: what you seek outside is already within you. You have spent years chasing something. Maybe it's success, maybe it's love, maybe it's validation. You search in every corner, in every person, in every achievement, longing for the moment when everything finally falls into place, when you can finally feel complete. But when you reach what you thought would make you happy, you realize something terrifying. You still feel that emptiness. So you believe you need more money, more recognition, more people around you. You keep running endlessly, as if happiness were waiting for you somewhere in the future. And here's the truth no one tells you. What you seek outside will never give it to you. Because what you truly need, peace, fulfillment, strength, is not in anything external. It has always been within you. The Stoics understood this more than 2,000 years ago. Marcus Aurelius said, "Look within yourself. There lies the source of good, and never stop digging until you find it." Because everything you try to fill with external things, recognition, pleasure, approval, are nothing but distractions. They are mirages that keep you away from the only truth that matters. You are already enough. The trap of external seeking. Think about this. How many times have you told yourself, when I achieve X, then I'll be happy? When I get that job, when I have that relationship, when I reach that amount of money. But when you get it, the feeling of fulfillment doesn't last, because it was never what you truly needed. The Stoics knew that depending on the external world means handing over your well-being to something you cannot control. The only true source of stability is the one you build within yourself. It's not money that gives you security, it's confidence in your ability to adapt. It's not a relationship that makes you feel loved, it's how you treat yourself. It's not recognition that gives you worth, it's the respect you have for yourself, the power of looking within. Epictetus left us a lesson that changes lives. If you wish to improve, be content to appear ignorant or foolish in external matters, and instead focus on strengthening your inner world. Society has taught you to look for answers outside, but Stoicism teaches you the opposite. Everything you need is already inside you. If you truly understand this, you become unstoppable, because when you stop depending on the external world, no one can take your peace away. When you realize that true wealth lies in your character, money stops controlling you. When you understand that your worth does not depend on anyone's opinion, you become unshakable. When you see that happiness is not something you find, but something you choose, you stop chasing shadows. How to apply this to your life? First question. Your search. Every time you desperately desire something, stop and ask yourself, will this truly make me happy, or am I just trying to fill a void? 2. Develop a relationship with yourself. Dedicate time to introspection. Meditate, write, ask yourself who you are without all the titles and labels imposed on you. 3. Detach from the external. This doesn't mean you can't enjoy the good things in life, but don't base your happiness on them. Enjoy success, but don't make it your identity. Love others, but don't make your well-being depend on them. 4. Remember the only truth that matters. You are already enough. You don't need anything else to be complete. The day you stop looking outside for what has always been inside you is the day you truly free yourself. And when you do, nothing and no one will be able to take that peace away from you. Inner peace is not a privilege, it is a choice. If you're here, it's because deep down you know you need to regain control of your mind and your life. But the question is, are you going to keep postponing it? Subscribe now and show that you are not one of those who settle for chaos. This is your refuge, the place where you will learn to become unbreakable. Don't let life drag you along. Choose to live it with purpose. Now let's move on to the next secret. Are you ready? Third Stoic secret. Few friends, great impact. We live in a world where quantity has replaced quality. Social media filled with contacts, hundreds of friends on a list, empty interactions that make us feel accompanied but not understood. Loneliness has been disguised with noise. But tell me, how many of those people are truly there when you need them the most? How many of those friends would stand by your side in your worst moment? The reality is harsh, very few, and here is the most valuable lesson the Stoics understood centuries ago. It is better to have a few friends who truly add value than to be surrounded by crowds that only drain you. Seneca put it plainly, I prefer the company of one wise person to a crowd of fools. Because the truth is this, you don't need a large social circle to be strong. You need a few people who truly bring value to your life. The illusion of company. The fear of loneliness has led many to surround themselves with people for the wrong reasons, to avoid being alone, for social validation, to feel that they belong. But here's the paradox. The more you try to fill the void with superficial people, the lonelier you feel. This is why the Stoics preferred solitude over bad company, because a bad friend, a toxic relationship, or a purposeless environment are burdens, not support. Marcus Aurelius summed it up brutally. Avoid those who disturb your peace and pollute your soul. It's not about being alone for the sake of it. It's about choosing people who are truly worth sharing life with. How relationships can define your destiny. Think about this. If you spend time with people who constantly complain, you'll absorb their negativity. If your environment is filled with mediocrity, you'll eventually lower your standards. If your friends have no aspirations, your own goals will begin to fade. Science also backs this up. A Harvard study on happiness found that the quality of our relationships is the strongest predictor of long-term well-being. Not money, not success, but genuine connections. This means that if you choose wisely the people around you, you can elevate your life in incredible ways. But if you choose poorly, you may find yourself trapped in a cycle of drama, stress, and emotional exhaustion that will be hard to escape. And most people never learn this lesson. The Stoic key: be selective about who enters your life. The Stoics did not reject company, but they chose it with surgical precision. Seneca left us a powerful teaching. Do not choose friends at random. Look at their soul, their character, their values, because what surrounds you defines you. If you truly want peace of mind and stability, you must do something few people have the courage to do. Filter your social circle. And this is what you can start doing today. 1. Evaluate the people you spend time with. Ask yourself, does this person uplift me or drain me? Do we share fundamental values? Do I feel at peace or in conflict when I'm with them? If the answer is mostly negative, it's a clear sign they shouldn't stay in your life. 2. Surround yourself with those who challenge you to be better. The best people are not those who always applaud you, but those who confront you with the truth. The ones who inspire you, the ones who make you grow. As Epictetus said, avoid those who keep you in comfort. Seek those who push you to improve. 3. Learn to be alone without fear. Many endure bad relationships out of fear of loneliness. But silence is better than falsehood. Peace is better than chaos. If you learn to enjoy your own company, you become invulnerable. Because no one can manipulate someone who is not afraid of being alone. Marcus Aurelius left us another gem of wisdom. He who is self-sufficient is never alone. And there lies the secret. When you learn to be at peace with yourself, you realize that very few people are truly worth your time. The Stoics did not seek quantity. They sought depth. They sought quality. They sought people with whom they could share wisdom and growth. And now I ask you, do you prefer to fill your life with noise, surrounded by people who add nothing? Or do you prefer a few who truly bring value to your life? The answer is in you. You decide whether to continue surrounded by purposeless crowds, or if you start building relationships that are truly worth it. Less is more, always. Now, let's move on to the next Stoic secret. Are you ready? 4th Stoic secret. Learn to talk to yourself. What if I told you that the person you talk to the most in your life is yourself? From the moment you wake up to the moment you fall asleep, there's a voice in your head commenting on every decision, every doubt, every mistake. But tell me, is that voice your ally or your worst enemy? The Stoics understood that the greatest enemy is not outside but within the mind. Seneca put it with brutal clarity. Man suffers more from what he imagines than from what actually happens. Most problems don't come from reality, but from how we interpret it. If your inner dialogue is full of fear, guilt, and doubt, your life will reflect that. But if you transform it into a dialogue of calm, clarity, and direction, then your life will change as well. That is precisely what we will learn now. The voice that defines your destiny. If a stranger spoke to you the way you speak to yourself, would you allow them in your life? Many people destroy themselves internally with phrases like, "I'm not good enough. I always mess things up. I'll never be able to do it." And the worst part, they believe it. But here's the truth that the Stoics discovered centuries ago. What you tell yourself repeatedly becomes your reality. Epictetus left us a lesson that shatters paradigms. It's not what happens to us, but what we tell ourselves about what happens that makes us suffer. You can transform any situation into an opportunity or a tragedy depending on how you talk to yourself. How your mind can be your ally or your prison. Imagine facing an enormous challenge, one that seems impossible to overcome. If your inner dialogue is negative, you'll say things like, "I'm not prepared. This is too much for me. I better not even try." And guess what? You sabotage yourself. But if you adopt a Stoic mindset, the conversation changes. I will learn from this. If others have done it, so can I. I will move forward despite the fear. The external situation remains the same, but the outcome changes because your self-talk changed. That's how powerful inner language is. The Stoic art of talking to yourself. The Stoics practiced something that modern science has confirmed as a high-impact tool: mental retraining through self-dialogue. And they did it using 3 key strategies. 1. Question your thoughts. Not everything you think is true. Many of your fears aren't real, but rather distorted ideas from past experiences. Marcus Aurelius used to ask himself, "Does this thing that worries me really deserve my distress?" Before believing a negative thought, pause and analyze it. Ask yourself, is this idea objective, or is it just my fear speaking? How would I see this problem if someone else were in my place? How would a Stoic face this? You'll realize that many of your worries are just illusions created by a disordered mind. 2. Use language to your advantage. Every word you use builds your reality. The Stoics spoke to themselves with firmness, but without self-destruction. If they made a mistake, they didn't say, "I'm terrible at this." Instead, they said, "I will learn from this so I don't repeat it." If they felt insecure, they didn't say, "I can't do it." They said, "I don't know how yet, but I will find a way." The way you talk to yourself either strengthens or weakens you. So talk to yourself as a great teacher would speak to their best student. 3. Practice mental distancing. Epictetus taught a powerful technique. When facing a problem, imagine it's happening to someone else and give them the best advice you can. Why does this work? Because when we give advice to ourselves from a distance, we remove the drama and see the situation more clearly. So, the next time you find yourself in a dilemma, imagine a friend asks for help and give them the best answer possible. Then, apply it to your own life. Transform your mind, transform your life. If you master your inner dialogue, there will be no obstacle that can destroy you. Remember, it's not the events that determine your destiny, but what you tell yourself about them. If you speak to yourself with wisdom, courage, and clarity, your life will change in the same direction. Now tell me, what words will you choose to build your future? Because what you say to yourself today will be what you live tomorrow. Let's move on to the next Stoic secret. Are you ready? 5th Stoic secret: you are enough. How many times have you felt that you're not enough? That you're missing something to be worthy of respect, success, or even love? More money, more recognition, more validation from others. We live in a world programmed to make us believe that we are always incomplete. We were taught that our value depends on what we achieve, on how many people approve of us, or how high we climb. But what if I told you that all of that is a lie? The Stoics discovered something that completely changes how we live. Nothing external can define who you are. No opinion, no success, no loss. You are already enough. And today, you will understand why. The illusion of lack. If someone asked you, "What do you lack to be happy?" what would you say? Maybe you'd think of a better job, a stable relationship, or recognition. But here's the paradox. Even if you achieve it, sooner or later, you will feel like you need something more. Why? Because the feeling of not being enough has nothing to do with what you have, but with how you perceive yourself. Epictetus put it clearly: if you seek externally for what can only be found within, you will always be a slave to what you cannot control. The problem isn't in what you don't have. It's in the belief that you need something more to feel complete. The trap of external validation. Since childhood, we were taught that our worth depends on the eyes of others. If you got good grades, you were smart. If you were applauded, you were successful. If someone loved you, you were valuable. But here's the question that changes everything. What happens if you stop receiving those validations? If no one praises you, do you stop being intelligent? If no one admires you, do you stop being successful? If no one loves you, do you stop being valuable? The answer is a resounding no. Marcus Aurelius left us an unshakable truth. Don't waste your life waiting for the approval of others. Peace is not found in pleasing the world, but in understanding that you never need to. Break the illusion, nothing to prove, nothing to lose. When you believe you're not enough, you live in anxiety, always chasing the next goal, seeking the next validation. But what would happen if you simply gave yourself permission to be, to stop proving something, to stop trying to fit in, to accept that you are already enough no matter what? This doesn't mean settling. It means stopping the habit of measuring your worth by things that never really mattered. The Stoics lived with the conviction that true wealth was not in what they possessed, but in who they were. Epictetus said, "If you cling to external things to define yourself, you will live in fear of losing them. But if you realize that you are enough on your own, nothing can affect you." So tell me, what would happen if you stopped searching outside for what has always been inside you? 3 Stoic keys to remember that you are already enough. 1. Break the comparison cycle. Every time you compare yourself to someone, pause and ask yourself, am I seeing their full story or just the part the world chooses to show? Social media is filled with lives that seem perfect, but no one shows their doubts, failures, or fears. Don't compare your reality to someone else's edited version. 2. Define your own standard. The Stoics didn't live to impress anyone. Their only measure was their own inner excellence. Don't ask yourself, what does the world think of me? Ask yourself, am I living according to my values? Because the moment you take control of your own standard, you stop being a prisoner of external validation. 3. Act as if you were already enough. Because you are, don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait for someone to tell you. Start living like the person you want to be, and you'll realize that they have always been inside you. The power of knowing that you are already complete. If today you stop seeking validation outside, if you decide that you are already enough, you will become someone that nothing can break, not because the world tells you so, but because you know it. And that is the only thing that matters. Now tell me, are you ready to leave behind the idea that you lack something to be valuable? If the answer is yes, then you have already taken the first step toward true inner peace. If you've made it this far, it's because you know that inner peace is not a destination, but a daily choice. Subscribe and comment, "I am the master of my calm," to seal your commitment to a free mind and an unbreakable spirit. Every step you take toward your peace is an act of rebellion against the noise of the world. By the time we reach the 7th secret, you will discover a truth that could change everything. Don't stop now. The best is yet to come. Let's continue. 6th Stoic secret. Connect with your deepest passions. When was the last time you did something that truly ignited your soul? Not out of obligation, not because someone expected it from you, but simply because you loved it. We live in a world where routine consumes us. We wake up, work, fulfill expectations. But at some point, we stop asking ourselves, what is it that truly makes me feel alive? If you don't have a clear answer, then now is the time to find it again, because the Stoics knew something that many have forgotten. Your purpose is not just to exist, it is to live with intensity, the trap of an automatic life. When you were a child, life had more color. You could spend hours drawing, playing, imagining, without worrying about what others thought. You didn't need a reason to do what you loved. You did it simply because you enjoyed it. But at some point, someone told you those things didn't matter. You have to be productive. That won't get you anywhere. Growing up means leaving behind those silly things. So you started letting go. You focused on what you were supposed to do, and without realizing it, you began to lose yourself. Epictetus put it clearly, it is not circumstances that limit us, but our own beliefs about what is possible. If you believe life is only about working and meeting expectations, then that is all you will have. But if you start seeking what sets your soul on fire, you will discover that there is a life beyond routine, a life that is truly worth living. What makes you feel alive? No matter how busy you are, no matter how trapped you feel in routine, inside you there is something that still makes you vibrate. Maybe it's writing, maybe it's creating something with your own hands, maybe it's music, sports, teaching. Whatever it is, that thing that fills your soul is what you must protect. Marcus Aurelius left us this truth. Love your vocation, dedicate yourself to it with passion, and find your purpose in it. It doesn't matter if the world doesn't understand it. It doesn't matter if it doesn't seem productive. The only thing that matters is that it is yours. It is the fire that must never go out. How to reconnect with your passion. 1. Ask yourself what made you happy as a child. Before the world told you what to do, before you worried about money or approval. What filled you with excitement? The answer is there. 2. Do it without worrying about the result. You don't need to be the best. You don't need to make money from it. You just need to do it because it makes you feel good. 3. Protect your time fiercely. There will always be excuses not to do it, but if you don't defend what gives you life, you will end up trapped in an empty existence. Happiness is not found in success, but in dedicating time to what truly matters to you. The Stoic secret to living with passion. When you live for what ignites you from within, life no longer feels like a burden. Every day has meaning, every effort has a purpose. So tell me, what is that thing that fills your soul that you've been neglecting? Take it back, make it part of your life, and never let the noise of the world make you forget it. Because there, in what you are truly passionate about, lies the real meaning of your existence. 7th Stoic secret, you don't need anyone to shine. Have you ever felt that without others' validation, your success loses its meaning? That without someone recognizing it, without applause, without external approval, your effort seems pointless? It's one of the greatest traps of the mind, because when you depend on others to feel valuable, you become a prisoner of their opinions. But the Stoics knew something most people have forgotten. True power does not come from external recognition, but from the inner certainty of who you are and what you're worth. The illusion of external validation. From a young age, we are taught that success is measured by others' approval. If they praise you, you did well. If they ignore you, it wasn't enough. This conditions us to seek validation at every step. At work, if you're not recognized, you feel incompetent. In relationships, if you're not accepted, you doubt your worth. On social media, if you don't get enough likes, you feel like you don't matter. It's like living on a stage where every action needs an ovation to be real. But the Stoics taught us the opposite. Marcus Aurelius said it clearly. Do not waste time worrying about what others think of you. Focus on being what you must be. You don't need an audience to shine. You don't need witnesses to validate your path, because your worth already exists within you. The freedom of not depending on anyone. When you stop seeking external validation, something incredible happens. You become free. You stop worrying about pleasing everyone. You stop doing things just to be accepted. You start acting from your essence without fear of judgment. Imagine working hard on something great, but no one notices. If you're still tied to external validation, you'll think it was in vain. But if you understand that the value lies in the effort itself, you'll know it doesn't matter if anyone else sees it. You know it. And that is enough. Epictetus left us a key lesson. If you depend on the approval of others, you will be their slave. Every time you allow others' opinions to define your self-worth, you give them power over you. But when you decide that your value needs no permission, you become unbreakable. How to learn to shine on your own. 1. Stop seeking recognition. Do things because you love them, not because you expect others to validate them. 2. Change your internal dialogue. Every time you find yourself waiting for someone's approval, ask yourself, does my worth depend on this? The answer will always be no. 3. Make peace with silence. You don't need witnesses to be great. If something fills your soul, that is enough. True success is not being recognized. It is being authentic, no matter who sees it. The Stoic secret to shining without needing anyone. Most people live trapped in others' gaze. They measure their worth by the echo of applause. If there's noise, they feel valuable. If there's silence, they doubt themselves. But you can be different. You can decide that your light doesn't need witnesses, that you don't need a stage to shine. Because true worth is not in how many recognize it, but in how strongly you hold it within yourself. So tell me, are you ready to shine without depending on anyone? Because that is the only light that can never be extinguished. Let's move on to the next secret. 8th Stoic secret. Silence is your greatest ally. The world today is full of noise. News, social media, constant messages, opinions from everyone, voices telling you what to do, what to think, how to feel. We are surrounded by endless stimuli, and in the midst of this chaos, we have forgotten something essential: the power of silence. Silence is not just the absence of noise. It is a space where you can find yourself. It is where your thoughts become clear, where you find the calm you've been searching for. But when was the last time you were in complete silence? The noise that controls us. Most people are afraid of silence. They avoid it with constant distractions, loud music, shallow conversations, endless social media scrolling, series that never end. Why? Because silence forces them to face themselves. When everything shuts off, there's no more escape. You're left alone with your thoughts, your fears, the questions you've been avoiding. The Stoics knew that true reflection only happens in stillness. Seneca said, "We suffer more in our imagination than in reality." But if you are always surrounded by noise, you will always be trapped in that imagination. No space to think. No space to understand yourself. No space for peace. Silence as strength, not weakness. In today's society, silence is seen as something uncomfortable. If someone stays quiet, they are considered strange. If you don't respond quickly, you're called indifferent. If you enjoy being alone, they think you're antisocial. But the Stoics saw silence as power. Marcus Aurelius, despite his responsibilities as an emperor, found moments to be alone, to write, to listen to his own mind without external influence. Silence didn't make him weak. It made him wiser, stronger, because those who know how to be silent, who don't need constant noise, become masters of themselves. How to use silence to transform your life. 1. Learn to stay silent before reacting. If someone provokes you, if something irritates you, if you feel the urge to respond impulsively, wait. The Stoics taught that silence before speaking is the difference between wisdom and regret. 2. Seek intentional solitude. You don't need to disappear from the world. Just find moments without distractions. Take a walk without headphones. Turn off your phone for a while. Sit alone, doing nothing. At first it will feel uncomfortable, but then you will experience the clarity that only silence can provide. 3. Let silence help you think. Whenever you feel mental chaos, instead of seeking more noise to distract yourself, pause. Listen to your mind. Observe your thoughts without judgment. Let them settle. The Stoic secret of silence. The mind needs space to breathe, but we are overloaded, always reacting, always distracted. Silence is a tool of power. It is not emptiness, it is clarity. Because in noise, you lose yourself. In silence, you find yourself. And when you learn to be alone with your thoughts, when you stop fearing silence, you discover something incredible. Your true voice, your true self, the part of you that has been waiting to be heard. Noise keeps you distracted. Silence sets you free. So tell me, are you ready to embrace it? If this knowledge is helping you find calm in the midst of noise, subscribe and become part of this refuge dedicated to strengthening your mind and spirit. Here, you will discover powerful tools to achieve inner peace and live with purpose. Don't let external chaos control your inner world. 9th Stoic secret, truly know yourself. Silence has given you a pause. Now what will you do with it? You can fill it with distractions, or you can use it to confront the question most people avoid. Who are you really? Because here's the truth. Most people go through life without knowing themselves. They are carried by what the world expects of them, by what they have been taught, by what they think they should be. But if you don't know yourself, if you don't know what you truly want, if you don't understand your own emotions, you become just a spectator in your own life. And there is no greater tragedy than living without ever discovering who you really are. The fear of facing ourselves. Society trains us to look outward. We worry more about what others think, about how they see us, about whether we fit in. But how often have you looked within? How often have you questioned your own beliefs? How often have you explored the fears that paralyze you? How often have you challenged the stories you've told yourself? Most people never do. Because truly knowing yourself is uncomfortable. It requires facing painful truths, letting go of excuses, and accepting what really lies inside you. Self-knowledge is power. Epictetus said it clearly, "Know yourself and you will be free." But knowing yourself is not just understanding your likes or dislikes. It is understanding why you do what you do. It is discovering what drives you and what holds you back. It is learning what burdens you carry and which ones you must let go of. When you truly know yourself, you stop being a slave to other people's expectations. You don't follow paths that aren't yours. You don't live seeking approval. You don't feel lost. And most importantly, you don't need anyone else to define you. Because once you understand yourself, you become unbreakable. The Stoic method to truly know yourself. 1. Write about yourself. The mind is a chaotic place. Putting your thoughts on paper helps organize them. Write about what you feel, what you fear, what you truly desire. You will be surprised by what you discover. 2. Question your beliefs. Why do you believe what you believe? Do you live by values that are truly yours, or are you just following patterns imposed by others? If you never question, you will never be free. 3. Observe your reactions. Every time something bothers you, and ask yourself, is this really a problem? Or is it just my ego reacting? Self-knowledge begins when you stop reacting mindlessly. The uncomfortable truth. Most people will never truly know themselves. They will spend their lives pretending to be someone they are not, following paths they never chose, enslaved by ideas they never questioned. But you you have another option. You can choose to stop, look at yourself directly, and begin the hardest journey, but also the most liberating one. Because when you truly know yourself, you no longer need masks, you no longer beg for acceptance, and you start living according to your own truth. This is true power. This is the Stoic path. And if you've made it this far, if you truly want to discover who you are, get ready, because the final secret will be the most powerful of all. 10th Stoic secret: rediscover writing. If you've made it this far, you already know that the path to inner peace is not easy. It requires courage, it requires honesty, and above all, it requires facing what lies within you. But there is something the Stoics understood better than anyone. Our mind is like a sea in constant turmoil, chaotic thoughts, worries, doubts. If we don't control them, they control us. If we don't organize them, they overwhelm us. And there is one tool that can calm that sea, one that has been used by the wise for centuries: writing. Your mind in chaos, your life in confusion. Ask yourself, how many times have you felt overwhelmed by thoughts you can't explain? How many times have you reacted in a way you didn't even understand? How many times have you felt that something is wrong but couldn't pinpoint what it is? That is no coincidence. The problem is that your mind is saturated. Too much information, too many repressed emotions, too many unspoken words. And when all of that builds up, your mind becomes a maze with no way out. Anxiety increases, clarity disappears, the internal noise becomes unbearable. But here's the secret: when you write it down, you understand it. The Stoic Journal, a tool of power. Marcus Aurelius, emperor and philosopher, wrote every single day. His meditations were not meant for others. They were not speeches. They were not public declarations seeking approval. They were for himself, a refuge, a space to pour out his thoughts, to bring order to his mind, to find answers that could not be found in the noise of the world. Because writing is more than just words. It is a mirror. And when you face that mirror, when you put your thoughts onto paper, you can no longer escape them. You confront yourself. And in that act, real transformation begins. The Stoic method to rediscover writing. 1. Write without a filter. You don't need to be a writer. You don't need to do it well. Just write what you feel. Let out what is trapped in your mind. 2. Ask yourself what no one else asks. What are you most afraid of? What do you truly desire? What beliefs are holding you back? Write the answers down. 3. Return to your words. A month later, a year later, go back and read what you wrote. You will see what you have learned. You will see how you have changed. And there lies the power. Because when you write, you listen to yourself. When you write, you understand yourself. When you write, you free yourself. The truth, no one will tell you. Most people will never write. They will keep filling their minds with noise. They will remain slaves to disordered thoughts. They will keep repeating the same mistakes because they never stop to understand them. But you won't. Now you know there is another option. You can take a piece of paper and a pen, or open a simple blank document and start writing what you feel. No one will read it, but you will. And there, in those words, you will find the truth you've been searching for. Because the clarity you seek is not out there. It is within you. You just need to write to find it. The lie we've been told. Modern life has convinced us that noise is progress. That being constantly surrounded by voices, messages, and validation is what makes us human. We've been taught that solitude is a punishment, that silence is emptiness. But what if all of that were a lie? The Stoics understood something that many ignore today. The external world can never give you what you are not capable of giving yourself. We seek answers in the noise, but answers only appear in stillness. We seek meaning in the validation of others, but true meaning exists only in what you decide matters. We fear the idea of being alone, but isn't it more terrifying to depend on others to feel whole? Think about this. The only person who will be with you, from the moment you are born until the last day of your life, is you. If you don't know yourself, if you don't understand yourself, if you can't find peace in your own company, what makes you think anyone else can give it to you? We spend our lives running from silence, from introspection, but you cannot run from yourself forever. And when you stop running, when you face the emptiness and dive into it, when you dare to listen to what's inside, you discover something that has always been there. You are enough. You don't need to fill your life with noise, with validation, with presences that only disguise an internal void. True strength is not in how much you rely on others, but in how much you can stand on your own. The Stoics knew it. The greatest minds in history understood it, and now you do too. The question is, will you keep ignoring it? I'm eager to hear your stories of personal growth on this topic. Share your victories, your challenges, and your experiences in the comments. If you don't know what to write, simply say, "Today, I free myself from what I can't control and embrace the serenity I deserve." This will show that you've completed our session. And don't forget to subscribe if this content resonates with you and your values for living with Stoic wisdom. Your voice is essential here. Every reflection strengthens and elevates our community, reflecting the true value of each individual and contributing to our shared Stoic identity. Joining this Stoic community means breaking the chains that limit you and building an inner fortress that no one can tear down. Is there a topic you'd like to explore further? Let me know in the comments. We've also prepared a pinned comment where you'll find more about us and resources to help you integrate Stoic principles into your daily life. This is your call to take the next step toward a life of meaning. See you in our next session on Stoicism for Winners, where we'll continue exploring the wealth of Stoic wisdom applied to modern life. Now, seize the opportunity to expand your understanding of Stoicism with new recommended sessions. Until we meet again, remember, you are the sole master of your perception, the creator of your peace, and the warrior of your own battle. This is the legacy of Stoicism, the art of being invincible,